In the course of a lifetime, almost everybody needs advice about personal growth, health, and career development, but getting the best and most persuasive advice can be difficult, especially if you're limited to your family and friends or mainstream culture. That explains a gap being filled by Queen's Company, a network for women of color. To tell us about its upcoming signature event are the CEO, Jessicah, Pierre, and the outreach director, Amenze, Enoma. Thank you both for being with us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so
I
much.
want to start with Jessicah. This goes back to, I guess, a dinner 3 years ago. What was going on?
So I was on Facebook one day and I was scrolling down my timeline and I seen a lot of women in my Facebook feed sharing a meme. It was like a group of black women together and they all had different professions. One was a engineer, one was a lawyer, one was a doctor, and they took this beautiful photo together and they said, you know, when you have a tribe of supportive women who have your back, you're able to be successful. And so a lot of the women on my timeline were sharing it, saying that they didn't have that support system and that it was really difficult to find because women can be catty and petty. And so I looked at it and I was like, I don't agree with that, because I was always fortunate to have a great group of girlfriends. Amenze is one of them, and we did a lot of fun stuff together. We supported each other. So I was just like, I don't think that's true. And so it made me really analyze my friendship a little bit more and be like, okay, so like we do all these fun things, we party, we had just graduated from college, we were going on vacations, but like how can we take our friendship to the next level where we're making sure that we're not just having fun, but we're also supporting each other through our professional endeavors. And so that's when I came up with the idea to host an event called the Queen's Dinner, where I would bring us all together and we would not only just like have fun, but we would also have some intentional activities to talk about some of the lessons that we learned the previous year and some of the goals that we had for the current year and how we could be intentional about supporting each other in realizing those goals.
Amenze, what brought you on board?
Like Jessicah said, I was actually in attendance at the very first dinner. We had no idea that it was going to turn into anything that it's become today. But for me, I know I always wanted to feel like I could bond with women. I didn't grow up with any sisters. I only grew up with boys. It was harder for me to make friends. Even making friends with Jessicah at UMass took effort, you know. So I wanted to be in more spaces that had women like me so I could bond and grow and foster relationships. So when she said, you know, we're going to turn this into a real thing. Are you ready? And I'm like, I'm going to do it. You know, like, let's do it.
But I'm also wondering, Amenze, how this relates to your career. You work in human services, I guess?
I used to work in human services. I actually just took a career change, and I now work for a tech company by the name of Optimus Ride. But I did used to work in human services, and I used to see people who looked like me, but more older individuals, nobody who was really younger. So I didn't really feel like there were people at my job, coworkers that could relate to me and what I was going through. So being able to have a space where there were young women that I could meet that worked in human services like me in other fields that I could talk to and connect with was really big for me.
Which brings me, a woman in a tech company. It
Yes.
sounds like a cry for help just right there.
that is actually like a huge change, but it's great. It's enlightening. I'm learning a lot, and I am a small representation of women in color in that field. But it's been going great so far. So,
Jessicah, what about you? You seem to be such a multitasker. I'm at a loss to describe your career, but how does this sort of get together help your career?
So I work in media and communications full-time. I'm a public relations professional, but I work in economic policy. I work for an organization called the Institute for Policy Studies, and we work on economic inequality. So we do a lot of research. So I see the data all the time of the racial wealth divide and how Black people and Latinos are really, really marginalized when it comes to achieving wealth or economic prosperity. So with Queen's Company, one of our, in our mission statement, one of our pillars is financial empowerment. And what we do is host financial workshops so that we're able to teach our members and our greater audience important ways that they can build wealth that we don't necessarily learn in school or with our families, because all of us who are the founding members on the board, we're all first-generation immigrants. And so a lot of our family members are still working really hard and, you know, are working wage jobs and may not even have access to things like 401k. So we're really trying to change the trajectory for our family. And we know that in the city of Boston, in the greater Boston area, there's a lot of other individuals who are just like us as well, who just need access to information and resources to build wealth. So through my full-time job, I'm able to see what kind of impact we can have and what kind of gaps need to be filled in order to build economic prosperity in minority communities.
This is BNN News. We're talking with Jessicah, Pierre, and Amenze Enoma from Queen's Company. Amenze, I guess another gap here is what you might have experienced when you were going to college. You know, maybe there weren't many people of color there, certainly not many women that you could talk to. And how does it feel now that you're in a group like this?
It's like worlds apart from what we've experienced, kind of that leaving high school, going to college. My high school was more mixed, I would say, but college was a huge difference. We went to the University of Massachusetts Amherst, predominantly white institution. Besides one specific area of campus, it's almost like everywhere you're going to go, it's not going to be anybody that looks like you. So it was a big adjustment, a lot to adjust to and get used to. And Queen's Company, I guess, makes it easier, I would say, than it was at that time, because then we had to seek, you know, clubs and groups and organizations and not really knowing who to go to and where to start and just diving head first. But with Queen's Co., most likely somebody you know has attended an event. Somebody you know has tried to talk to you about it and told you to come, and you probably just brushed it off. There's always somebody there that can vouch for the work that we're doing and can kind of help people understand like why there's a need for this and why they should be, you know, jumping right on in. So,
just imagine one of the things that your organization would like to help with probably are barriers in the workplace. Mm-hmm. For women, what kind of barriers are you focused on, you think?
So there's a lot of talk about diversity and inclusion amongst companies right now, and, you know, being intentional about hiring people of color, women of color. But what we've noticed, especially experiencing being in the workplace as women of color ourselves, is that while there's that intention to hire people of color, there isn't that culture shift to be welcoming to people of color. And so with our organization, we have a membership program for professional women of color and entrepreneurial women of color. And within our membership, we have created these online communities where we can communicate with each other. So we have a private membership database, which is like a members-only website that people can go to, where we post different resources around professional development there. And then we also have a group chat that we talk to on a daily basis. There's about 60 of us that are in there now. And so when one of our members has an issue in the workplace, like we've had people talk about wanting to advocate for themselves to get a raise, or wanting to have an uncomfortable conversation with their boss where they felt like they were in a situation that they couldn't either advocate for themselves, or they felt like they were spoken to in a way that they didn't necessarily like. So the beauty of our organization is that our membership, while it's for women of color, it's very diverse in profession, and it's also very diverse in age. So we have older women, and then we also have younger professionals who may be straight out of college. And so because we have this community, people are able to ask questions, and we have more experienced or seasoned professionals who are able to give practical advice so that we can know how to move forward in the workplace. Because all of us work full-time in addition to managing and creating Queen's Company. So we all have our fair share of experiences that we need to learn from in the workplace too, and learn how to navigate the workplace.
I see you're nodding. Are you diving into some of these questions here?
It's like the conversations that are had are so. I wish everyone could just be a part of it, because we really will dive right in. People will bring up any topic, any issue that they've had, and everyone just, it's like an avalanche. Like, I went through that too, and I did this, or maybe you should try this. And really that person leaves feeling like I have a plan. I have, action steps that I can take. We've had people come in the group and ask questions and come back and tell us, hey guys, I was able to get that raise. I was able to get that promotion. I was able to change my work schedule just from the conversations that we were able to have and help that person out. So I'm just nodding because I know like everything she's talking about is like.
And I guess all people have to do, they go to your social media sites and just jump in?
Yes, we post nonstop. We're always on Instagram, Facebook. Our website is there, up and running. We give everybody clear-cut instructions on how to just become a member, and we just hope that people feel the need.
Jessicah, talking about this year's Queen's Dinner, this is not the first, so I'm sure this is a little more choreographed. So what's planned this time?
Sure. So this is our second Queen's Dinner of the year. We host them quarterly, so we have about 4 every year. And we're really excited about this upcoming Queen's Dinner because our keynote speaker is Christy Lindor, and she's a TEDx speaker, management consultant, contributor to Forbes, and she's a Black woman, and she is a Boston native. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. A lot of people don't realize a lot of the roots that a lot of successful people of color have based in Boston. There's a great amount of Black history in Boston that doesn't necessarily get the attention that it can get. And so we're looking to capitalize on the movements that some of the previous people have set before us and some of the work that they've done so we can continue it and show people our history and empower people in that way. So really excited to have Christy Lindor join us. And then we also have Charmaine Jackman, who is a psychologist and wellness expert who will be our opening speaker. And the theme of this dinner, so every dinner we have a theme, and the theme of this dinner is building resilience. And we're focusing on building resilience because as women of color, we have to have this natural trait to kind of survive in America in general. But we're thinking about how can we apply this resilience that we have for our survival into thriving in our careers, in our entrepreneurial endeavors, and building sisterhood through that resilience as well, too, so we can continue to work together and uplift one another. And one thing I'd like to note about this dinner as well is that Pine Manor generously offered their Dana Estates venue to us as a sponsorship so that we could host the dinner there. And because we're hosting it there, it's going to be our largest dinner to date. So we're excited to be able to have access to that space so we can accommodate as many people as possible.
Amenze, going back to that smaller first dinner,
Yes.
When did it hit you that this has to be repeated?
It was when all of us cried. That was a major moment, and it kind of allowed me to see like, wow, we have a lot of things that are just built up that we need to let go. And if we feel like this, there's got to be other people out there that feel like this. And then also the response that we got from people on social media, because we had shared, what we were doing, and people responding like, well, when are you guys going to do this again? I'd love to come. Why didn't I get an invitation? Things like that. So then we were just like, okay, like, we got to do this. And as big as we can get it, we have to go for it. So.
You made this sound so appealing, so I have to ask you, if people want to go to this dinner or an upcoming dinner
Yes.
beyond that, what's the best way to find out details?
So the best way to find out details, if you are a social media person, I would jump on Instagram. We are there at queens.company. If you're a Facebook person, you can find us Queens Company, or I think it's at The Queens Company on Facebook. If you're more of an internet person, queensco.org is the website. Everything is pretty simple and easy to find from there.
Thank you both very much, Amenze Enoma and Jessicah Pierre from Queen's Company.